Today is Tuesday, April 23rd. We're talking about some big deal Supreme Court cases that could impact you and who President Trump is now suing. Plus, a version of Uber with no human drivers as soon as next year. And hear from Prince years after he died. Welcome to The Newsworthy. All the day's news in less than 10 minutes. Fast, fair, fun, and on the go. I'm Erica Mandy. Thanks so much for being here. You ready? Let's do this. Today has been declared a national day of mourning in Sri Lanka, following the Easter Sunday bombings that left more than 300 people dead. But today, there are also new questions, like why didn't the government there do more to stop the attacks? CBS News reports some officials were warned earlier this month that churches may be targeted. The Wall Street Journal says both the U.S. and India had sent those warnings. Now government officials in Sri Lanka say they're looking into it. And CNN reports the FBI will also be helping with that investigation. President Trump does not want Democrats to get a hold of his financial records. And now he's suing them to try and block their efforts. CBS News reports Trump is targeting House Oversight Chairman Elijah Cummings. He's the guy who subpoenaed Trump's longtime accountant for 10 years' worth of financial records. President Trump and his lawyers say not okay and argue Congress needs a good legislative reason to make it legal. And in this case, Democrats just want to try and embarrass the president. Fox reports Cummings dismissed the complaint, saying it was full of inaccurate information. He says he'll use the records to see if how Trump makes money is at all guiding any of his decisions as president. Also of note, House Democrats gave the IRS until today to hand over several years of Trump's tax returns. If they don't get them, expect that to be another legal fight. To be continued. The U.S. Supreme Court just took up a few cases that could have a big impact on gay rights. The question? Does U.S. law protect gay and transgender people from workplace discrimination? Right now, under the Civil Rights Act of 1964, employers cannot discriminate based on race, religion, national origin, or sex. But different people have different opinions about whether the law covers sexual orientation and gender identity. Some, including the Equal Employment Opportunity Commission, which is a federal agency, has said it does count, that the LGBTQ community should be protected from discrimination at work. Others disagree. The New York Times reports the Trump administration has argued sex does not mean gender identity. Even lower courts have had different outcomes. So the Supreme Court will settle this question by taking up 3 cases on the issue. They won't actually start hearing them until October, so stay tuned. But starting today, the Supreme Court will hear a case about the 2020 census. The Hill reports the court will decide if the census is allowed to add a question about citizenship. Of course, we're talking about the census questionnaire sent to every household in the country every 10 years for a population count. It's required by the Constitution, and the census can impact how many members of Congress each state gets. Well, some say a question about legal status in the country will help the Justice Department enforce the Voting Rights Act. Others say it violates a law and will cause illegal immigrants to ignore the survey, and that will affect the population count. Either way, the Supreme Court is on a time crunch to decide. The Washington Post says a decision needs to be made by this June because that's when the census forms will be printed. All right, there's still more news ahead, but first, a quick break for today's sponsor. America's beverage companies are working together to support families as they reduce the sugar in their diets. Coke, Dr. Pepper, and Pepsi are providing more great-tasting options with less sugar or no sugar at all, putting clear calorie labels on every product, and working with public health organizations and other national and local partners to build stronger, healthier communities. With more choices, smaller portions, and less sugar, American families can find the balance that's right for them. Learn more about how these 3 competitors are working together at balanceus.org. That's balanceus.org. Now back to the news. Tesla plans to put self-driving taxis on the road in the U.S. as soon as next year. CEO Elon Musk is calling them Robotaxis and says they'll compete with Uber and Lyft, working the same way, except there will be no human drivers. Meaning the Tesla owners with the appropriate cars would let their self-driving Teslas earn them money even while they sleep. CNBC reports Musk even estimates there will be 1 million robotaxis on the road within a year. Although Musk is known to have ambitious goals and miss those deadlines. He also said this week, all new Tesla cars will have the hardware needed to be full self-driving cars. They'll just need to be updated with improved software. He promised self-driving Teslas by next summer. So we'll see. Well, perhaps it is because of services like Uber and Lyft, but a new report says American teens no longer love to drive. The Wall Street Journal reports the percentage of teens with a driver's license has gone down over the last few decades. And in 2017, only about a quarter of 16-year-olds had a driver's license. And more teenagers are waiting to get their first car, if buying one at all. The journal points to a few possible reasons, like ride-sharing services, the rising cost of new cars, big cities with mass transit, and even social media and video chat that lets you not leave your home. A $2,000 smartphone was supposed to be released this week, but not anymore. Samsung delayed the launch of its new Galaxy Fold, its first smartphone with a foldable screen. And The Verge reports it all has to do with the initial feedback of the phones that were sent to media. Remember this from last week? A few tech reviewers reported issues with the top protective layer on the phone, the screen, and the hinges. Samsung says it's working to fix the problems and wants to make sure it measures up to the, quote, high standards expected. The phone was supposed to come out this Friday. Now it seems it won't come out until at least sometime in May. Expect a new Prince memoir to come out this fall. The AP reports Prince was working on it when he died in 2016. Now the publishing company says the new book will combine that unfinished manuscript with rare photos, scrapbooks, and lyrics. It'll be called The Beautiful Ones. It's set to come out in October. All right, that's it for today. You are ready to go. I want to take a quick moment to say thank you for the latest reviews on Apple Podcasts and, of course, to all the newsworthy insiders. If you are not signed up yet and want to help support the show and get a little swag, check out the link in the episode description of your podcast app or go to thenewsworthy.com/insider. And a little update for you, you can now give whatever amount you want starting at just $5 a month. As always, if you want to read more about any of the stories we talked about, just go to the homepage of thenewsworthy.com, click episodes, and look for today's date. You'll find all the story sources and links right there. The Newsworthy is ready for you to listen every weekday. I'll be back with more news tomorrow. Have a great day.